Good day, class. Our lesson for this video is about the accounting equation. This topic is for my grade 11 ABM student, specifically quarter 3, week 2 and 3. Four objectives for today. At the end of the lessons, you will have knowledge about accounting equation, and you will learn also what is the effect of every transaction to the three components of the balance sheet. For the fundamental accounting equation, please always remember the formula. We have assets. It should be equal to liabilities plus owner's equity. Now, what's the purpose of the accounting equation? The main purpose of this is that the accounting equation, it ensures that every transaction is in balance. The equations state that assets must always be equal to the sum of liabilities and stockholders' equity. Let us give an example for us to enhance our knowledge to the accounting equation. Given liabilities of 75,000 pesos and the owner's equity of 200,000 pesos, let us find the value of the assets. So using the accounting equation, assets that should be equal to liabilities plus owner's equity. For assets, we have, for liabilities rather, we have 75,000 and also 200,000 for the owner's equity. So we have just to add the liabilities and owner's equity and we will get the value of the assets, which is 275,000. Given assets of 500,000 and liabilities of 100,000, how much is the owner's equity? So now we are looking for the amount of owner's equity. So using the accounting equation again, we will just have to deduct the liabilities to the assets. So the answer is 400,000 pesos. Given assets of 150,000 and owner's equity of 100,000, how much is the liabilities? Okay, for this time, we are looking for the amount of liabilities. So using the accounting equation again, we will just have to deduct the owner's equity to the assets. So we will come up with 50,000 pesos. Now, check the accounting equation. Asset is equal to liabilities plus owner's equity. So 150,000 assets and the total of the other side also is 150,000. So the accounting equation is equal. Now, let us identify every transaction and what its effect to our accounting equation. For the accounting equation, please take note, assets should be equal to liabilities plus owner's equity. Assets, this is the economic resources owned by the business, while liabilities, these are the obligation that the company needs to pay to its creditors and suppliers. And the owner's equity, this is the investment of the owners. It also includes the income or loss for the period and also the withdrawal of the owner. For the effect of accounting equation, we will cite some examples and let us check its effect to the asset, liabilities, and owner's equity. For number 1, owner invested equipment. So si owner nag-invest ng equipment. So what will be the effect to the asset? So there will be an increase to the asset since the owner invested the equipment. So increase in assets, equipment. There's no effect to the liabilities. And of course, there will be an increase to the owner's equity. Next, owner purchased furniture on credit. Si owner daw nagpalit og furniture pero siya gi-utang. So what will be the effect to the assets? There will be an increase of the assets. So for furniture to the assets, and also how about to the owner's equity? So there is no effect to the owner's equity. And to the liabilities, there is an effect, increase. Since giutang si furniture. So increase in assets and increase in liabilities. As you've noticed, to the other side of the equation, there is an increase. And to the other side, for liabilities and owner's equity, there is an increase. There is an increase in liabilities, but there is no effect to the owner's equity. While earlier, from the number one example, there is an increase in assets and also increase to the owner's equity, while there is no effect to the liabilities. Okay, let us cite another example. Owner withdraw cash. So si owner daw, gi-withdraw niya ang iyang investment, which is cash. So what will be the effect to the assets? Since nag-withdraw siya, nabawasan ang cash. So cash is under assets, so decrease. And how about to the liability? So there is no effect. Since wala siya nag-utang, nag-withdraw siya. So there is, and also, but there is an decrease in owner's equity. Try to look at the example for number 3. Nag-decrease, there is a decrease in asset, at the same time also decrease in owner's equity. So at the end of this transaction, equal pa rin ang accounting equation. Nag-decrease the other side of the equation and there is also decrease on the other side. Okay, number 4, purchase of supplies on credit. So nagpalit si owner of supplies but then on credit. So utang siya. Supplies is under assets, so let's write increase. And for liabilities, since iutang niya supplies, so there is also an increase in liabilities. But for owner's equity, there's no effect. Now, try to look at the example. Increase in asset and at the same time increase in liabilities. So the accounting equation still equal. Now, let us give the effect of the transaction to asset account. So, for this example, we will focus to the asset account, to the other side of the accounting equation. So, for the transactions, for number 1, owner invested equipment. So, si owner nag-invest ng equipment. So, what will happen to asset account? Okay. So, sa asset account, there will be an increase. Purchase laptop on account. So, still the same. Since nagpalit siya og laptop, and the laptop is asset, so we will decrease or put plus on the asset. Paid laptop from number 2. Since for number 2, we do credit of the laptop. So now, for number 3, we will pay our obligation. So what will happen to the asset? So there will be decrease in assets because once we will pay to a specific obligation, we are using our cash. So cash is under asset. So there is a decrease in our asset account. Now, let us give the effect of the transaction to liability account to another side of the accounting equation. Again, liability account. It's the same transactions. Owner invested equipment. So what will happen to the liability? So si owner nag-invest, so no effect to the liability account. Purchase laptop on account, so nag-utang ta og laptop, definitely mag-increase ang atong utang, so increase in liability account. Paid laptop from transaction number 2. If we are paying our obligations, what will happen to the liability account? Mag-decrease. So there is decrease on liability account. Now, let us give the effect of the transaction to owner's equity account. Again, owner's equity account. Same example as given earlier. Owner invested equipment. So what will happen to the owner's equity? Of course, nag-increase ang account ni owner's equity since owner made an additional investment. Purchase laptop on account. So if nagutang tag laptop, what will happen? There is no effect to the equity account. Paid laptop from transaction number 2, there is also no effect to the owner's equity account. We have cited some examples of the effect of transactions to every account, to the accounting equations. But please remember the accounting equation and also analyze always the transactions. That's the key. And also memorize its normal balance. For the assets, the normal balance is debit. Liabilities, credit. Under owner's equity, the normal balance is credit. So if there is an increase in every account, like for example to the assets account, so we will write it on debit side. If there is a decrease in asset account, so we will write under credit side. And it's the same to the liabilities and owner's equity. So it is very important for you to memorize its normal balance. For the assets, as I've mentioned earlier, we have current assets and also non-current assets. And for current assets, the normal balance is debit. Again, please memorize its normal balance. And some examples of assets, we have cash, cash equivalents, trade and other receivables. Under trade and other receivables, we have account receivables, notes receivable, and interest receivable. Advances to employees, accrued income, inventories, and prepaid expenses. There will be another lesson for for the definition of every account. So for now, we will focus on the accounting equation, but I want you to familiarize what are the account titles under assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. And now, for the assets still, we have non-current assets. And also please remember again, the normal balance is debit. So this is the long-term investment of the owner. So beyond 1 year is considered a non-current assets. Within 1 year is considered current assets. For non-current assets, please try to memorize these account titles. We have property, plant, and equipment. Under property, plant, and equipment, we have land, building, typewriters, air conditioner, filing cabinets, store equipment, trucks, van, and etc. For intangible assets, this is non-monetary assets without physical substance. Example of these is the trademark, patent, goodwill. Those are example of intangible assets. For liabilities, the normal balance is credit. For liabilities, we have current and non-current. So now let's focus to current liabilities. So this is the obligation of the business. We have trade and other payables. So under trade and other payables, we have account payable, notes payable, loan payable, utilities payable, and unearned revenues. Accrued liabilities. So those are and now for liabilities, again the normal balance is credit. For non-current liabilities, it's still our obligation. It is still company's obligation, the current liabilities. So we have mortgage payable, bonds payable, or any long-term investment that is payable is considered non-current liabilities. Or more than 1 year is considered non-current liabilities. Again, more than 1 year term is non-current liabilities. Within 1 year is current liabilities. For owner's equity, the normal balance is the owner. Any additional investment, income, or loss for the year is under owner's equity. And also the withdrawal. But for the withdrawal of the owner, the normal balance is debit. For owner's equity, we have capital, net income or loss for the period, and withdrawal of the owner drawing. Please take note that the withdrawal of the owner, the normal balance is debit. I hope you learned from our discussion for today. For any questions and inquiries about this topic, please refer to our learning activity sheet, and also you can message me through Messenger. Assessment will be uploaded in our Google Classroom. And if you are still confused about this topic, please watch this video all over and over again. Thank you so much.